You'll have to let my internet. Hi everyone, very happy to be live with Trevor Belshaw. Trevor, do you want to start us off with an intro to you and your books? We've just been chatting for ages, haven't we? But
yeah, we have.
Pretend we're starting again.
Okay, well, I'm Trevor, T A Belshaw, the author name, and my name. I write family saga series. I've got a comedy series that I used to write called Tracy's Hotmail. And more recently, I'm writing cozy crime set in 1939, so golden age cozy crime, starring a young amateur sleuth called Amy Rowlands. And she's sort of taken over just lately. But I still go back. I did bring out another book in the Unspoken series. There's 5 of them now. When was that? Back in July. But we're here to talk about the crime ones, so I'll try and focus on those. Although there is a connection because Amy Rowlands comes directly from that's the Unspoken, but it's the first of the family saga, and she comes direct. She was a small character in that, and she was so good, I just couldn't let her go to waste. So when I needed a sleuth for the mystery books, she came to mind immediately, and so I used her in that.
So, did you deliberately choose that period of time to write in? Is that a period that you find really interesting, or?
I've always been fascinated by it. It's not so much the war itself. That hasn't happened yet in the mystery series. In the Unspoken books, we're up to 1942, so it does crop up in those. But it's mainly about the people, how they lived, and the attitudes at the time. I've always been fascinated by it. History is my thing anyway. And when I grew up, I was starting a sociology course and then the Open University. And I was reading The Ragged Trousers, Philanthropist, and Road to Wigan Pier, and things like that. It gave a real good background on poverty in this country, and it really did sort of. Well, it affected my politics, how I thought about everything from then on. From reading those books, I got so angry about it. And then I read Angela's Ashes, which I don't know if you're aware of. That was Frank McCourt. It's about a family in absolute abject poverty in Dublin, growing up a large family of kids, and the old man's always away, and they don't eat most days, and it's harrowing, it really is. But that time, so it's that era, the 1930s, that I'm fascinated by. And I'm the same with movies as well. I love gangster movies, all set in that era. So it is an era that I've been very, very interested in. I've researched a lot. I wrote a kids' book called Peggy Larkin's War. It's the children's author, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know. Peggy Larkin's War about a young girl in London who was evacuated in the war. And I had to do a lot of research for that when I wrote that one. And it just stayed with me, and I'm just as happy doing the research around that time now as I am actually writing the story. I find it totally fascinating.
I think this is Donna who's commented here.
Pardon?
Donna said hello to us,
Hello,
but I'm just going to look and see if it is Donna who's commented back, because she said that she sent. I might be attributing this to someone else and saying it's Donna. Well, we'll blame Donna anyway. It says, I sent Trevor a typo yesterday, and he sent me back a picture of tea bags.
Yeah.
You thought I was questioning whether they were around, just to show you how in-depth he goes to research his books.
There's a story behind that. I've had with the new Amy Rowlands books. She likes using tea bags rather than using the new tea bags are a new thing, and she likes using them rather than leaf tea, which everyone uses. Their parents use it. She doesn't like the tea leaves floating around the bottom. And tea bags were there. Tea bags were invented in 1907, not for the purpose they ended up being used for, but for just transporting small amounts of tea in boxes and in individual little bags that people could tip into the pot. and make the brew. In America, this was. But people got the wrong idea and put them in the cups and poured boiling water on them, and the tea bag was invented. So they carried on doing. It first got here around about 1933. And by 1939, Lipton's and a few other companies were making them. And I've had so many queries since the new book came out, saying, asking these tea bags, why are these tea bags in there? They weren't invented till 1952. And if you Google it, it tells you they weren't invented till 1952. But if you go into more in-depth research, that is the modern tea bag with the paper covering and the stitching around the edges, holding the tea leaves in. Before then, they were in silk bags or in other bags. And I actually sent Donna a picture of it. Just I thought that's what she was going to query me about, like everyone else has. So I sent her a picture I got from the internet showing tea bags from 1987 all the way through to 1944, how they'd evolved, different pictures of each one. There were genuine pictures of each one. And what she'd actually done was highlighted in a note, she'd sent me a scan of a page and highlighted a typo. And instead of saying it said in. And that's what she was getting at. But just below it, it mentioned the tea bags, and I thought she was getting at that. So I jumped on the defensive straight away.
Sam said hello as well. So Sam has said hello as well.
Hiya, hi everyone who does know me, and everyone who doesn't. Hello, nice to meet you
all. So we've got why you've done that particular period. You were talking to me about why you like strong women characters as well. Do you want to give us that?
Yeah, as I was saying to you beforehand, I grew up wondering why the girl on the next desk to me earned 15 shillings less when she was twice as good at me at the job. I can remember when I was growing up in Ilkeston, it's an industrial town, and I was born in 1953. Not long after, 14 years after these books were set. But the attitudes, a lot of the language, everything was pretty much the same. The misogyny was just the same. Men went to work and went to the pub when they got the wage packed on Friday night, bragging about how they ruled the house with a rod of iron or whatever it was like. It was actually the women who decided everything. They decided what food was bought, what meals went on the table, whether insurance was paid, whether the rent was paid that week, even whatever. They were the true. They controlled everything, not just the purse strings. And they were strong women, very, very strong women. They had to be. So I grew up with those, and this is the day when people would come around, just tap on the door, walk in to borrow a cup of sugar or something from next door. The whole neighbourhoods were that close. You knew everyone on the street. You called them auntie this, uncle that, or whatever it was, even though they weren't. But the women, they were very, very, very strong women, and they would throw themselves under a bus for the kids, even though they were pretty much living in poverty. None of us had any money. There were no such things as holidays. We didn't go to. We lived at the side of the ironworks, where most of the town worked, with all the fumes blowing over all the time. And I can remember my mother sitting up with my brother, who'd got really bad lung problems, sitting up with him night after night after night after night, not getting any sleep at all, and still managing to carry on through the day and everything. And I grew up with those sort of people, and they sort of accepted the fact, or on the surface they accepted the fact that it was a man's world. Inside, they didn't think that way at all, and the conversations you used to have when the men weren't around was something else completely. And as I say, this is pretty much the same sort of era as I'm writing about. The same attitudes. Women couldn't have a bank account unless their husband signed up for it. They weren't allowed a checkbook. No way. I mean, the whole country would come to a standstill if a woman was given a checkbook. She'd just bankrupt the whole economy. So, and this is the area where Amy and Alice and the rest of them live in, and they don't accept it. Amy would love to be in the police force in the CID, but she wouldn't allow to be. The only job she'd ever not be allowed to take would be as a WPC, but it wouldn't be like ones today. She'd be there for making tea, typing up things, standing there if a child or an upset woman was being interviewed, just standing there, make her a cup of tea if she gets a bit too upset, and that's all they'd be allowed to do. not get involved in the investigation at all, and that's where she wants to be. And because of that, she would never join the police. So she attaches herself, let's say, to T A Belshaw, who she meets one morning at the factory where she works when the murder happened, and she sort of sticks with him all the way through because she's got local knowledge. He's new to the area. She's very, very useful during the murder investigation. But she takes no nonsense. She tells him how she feels if he says something wrong, or if any of the other men around start using this sort of misogyny, and she lets them know what she thinks. She doesn't, she doesn't sit back and just take it.
No,
That's so interesting. Writing about women, because if you've got a male lead character, if they get into trouble, they use brute strength and ignorance to get out of it. They'll kick a door down, or they'll punch someone, or I don't know. They'll get out of it somehow. Women can't do that, so they have to be far more nuanced in how they get out of situations. And I find the attitude that men had to them then, you have to sit and think to yourself, how would a woman respond to that, to what's being said to them, And
I think men probably respond with nuance and things as well. I don't think I think there's a combo, isn't there? I think some men would respond the same way as a woman. There's not
in situations they wouldn't be allowed to. You see, it's like Amy not being able to join the police, sort of thing, and it's things like that. Or Bodkin's boss is a total misogynist. He doesn't understand why he was hanging around at all, and yet she's actually leading him through the investigation, because she knows the people who are involved in it. The family is involved in the first murder. She knows them all, and she knows damn well that it wouldn't have been them that did the job. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying men and women think completely differently all the time, but back then, a man wouldn't talk to another man that way. They'd be far more respectful.
I think you're right. I mean, Amy is quite a feisty woman in the bit of Bread of Murderer's Mill. So I'm about halfway through. We're not going to give anyone any spoilers today.
Donna likes them. She's an Amy fan. So.
I quite like them popping into the pub at the end to have a chat about.
Yeah, well, I thought. See, Alice, Amy's best friend, who should go to the movies with every Saturday night. Bodkin tagged along, and Ferris, who the policeman gets involved with, all the singing policeman. They all come from the unspoken theories. That's where Alice is there, Amy's there, quite a lot of the characters. I just ported them across into the new books. But that was a setting. I can remember there used to be just outside Ilkeston, there was a village pub, and that's where just about everyone used to sort of wash up at the end of the day, whether they were pit workers or whatever they were. Pit workers, they were in the bar, and in the lounge side on a Saturday night, that's where the women would congregate because they were safer in there basically. None of them wanted to go in with on the other side. So I based the pub around that because that's how it used to be. Women went in the lounge or the snug. They never sort of ventured into the main bar.
What are the? I would imagine there's some advantages to setting books back then as well, because you don't have to worry about things like CCTV or like phones or DNA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very lucky like that because I'm fascinated by the era, and I've thought about writing a present day one. Got a good idea for one, but I read when I read I don't read that much cozy. I read Agatha Christie a fair bit. Dorothy Sayers I'll dip into now and again. But it's mainly modern crime. Peter Robinson, Mo Hader, Rebus, all that sort of thing. They are police procedurals really, and to do it, you need far more research than I could do. Got to, especially if you know a retired detective or something, recently retired as well, because things change so quickly. And if you remember, I'm getting queries about tea bags. If I was writing a modern day one, I'd be getting far more than that. You know, police wouldn't do this, police wouldn't do that, police wouldn't do the other. I can get away with things. I know an author friend who said that the policeman wrote a note down in his notebook, tore out the page and handed it to someone. Well, they'd be in big trouble for that, because it has to be kept intact, your notebook. That was made law, I think, in the 1980s. You're not allowed to sort of mess around with your notebook. It serves evidence if ever it was needed. If you've got missing pages, the defence in court would sort of literally tear that apart. Now, and I don't even worry with tea bags. I only found this out because my friend, the famous author, got so many letters about it. So, and I'd get loads. I know I'd get it all wrong all the time. My procedurals wouldn't proceed. Let's put it like that.
There are, I mean, there are lots of experts who will help. They're like, we have experts in the group who are ex-police and things like that, who do help people to make sure they get their procedure right. And there are also science. We've got some science experts who are quite good at helping.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Forensics, so I can Google, and I've got, I mean, I live on, you know, I've got the Poisonous Handbook here, and I've got the Poisons by Agatha Christie, and I've got a few other books back in that time, forensics, back in the 1930s, that I can dip into. It's nothing like as complicated as it is now. Nothing at all. I don't think I'd ever understand the mitochondrial DNA, or if I started delving into that, I know I'd get it wrong, and then when I come to write it all out, no matter how much time I put into it. So I'm better off without it. Back then, all they could tell you then was a blood group, and that was all you'd get out of a blood sample. There were forensics, and they weren't quite as basic as a lot of people think. They did have what they call murder kit, in a brown paper bag they kept in the boot of the car, and it had a magnifying glass in it, and some little brown paper bags to take samples, you know, and put evidence bags and things like that. So they did, you know, it was working. They didn't actually have forensic teams as such. So Bodkin has to do most of it himself at the murder scene. They do have people in bigger cities that can help out with this sort of thing, but it's getting them up into the smaller towns, you know. So basically, whoever's in charge of murder investigation would take care of all the evidence, and it's just quite a basic forensic search that they provide.
They have fingerprints and stuff as well, wouldn't they? And you can do quite a lot with blood groups, because there's a lot of blood groups, so you can match people quite thoroughly.
Yeah, well, ish. You get group O, I think that's I think how many percent of the population that is.
Yeah, but there's more than just.
If you find a rhesus negative.
There's more than just the O and A and the rhesus ones. There's other blood types as well that you can, if you want to.
Yeah, there is. You can narrow it down to, you know, probably a few thousand, but even then, you know, it's not like DNA. It was pretty basic even then. Back then, it really was. You couldn't subdivide the blood groups as well as you can do now. You know, you could go to a degree. You didn't have the equipment or anything like that to be able to do it. So anyway, it was easier for me to write about back then, and because you could get away with the policeman ripping a page out of his notebook, nobody would say anything about it, and won't even query it at all. You know, so you can get away with policemen hitting people should they need to, threatening them and what have you. You know, so you really can't do that anymore now, unless you got a real rogue of a cop. But all policemen did it then. I mean, in going back just to the unspoken book for a minute, Alice is assaulted by her partner, and she gets the policeman in, and the sergeant turns up, tells her cook him a nice dinner, and I'm sure you'll get over it. And that's the sort of attitude and that was a serious assault on her, and that's what the advice she was given by the attending policeman. And they did stick together. If one of them did anything wrong, they'd all just cover up for them. So you didn't get policemen charged with anything like that.
So you've got a modern idea. Would you be tempted to do it?
If that's what? Sorry.
You said you've got a modern idea. Are you going to write a modern book?
I'm sort of tempted, but again, I have to be careful because I've got an elderly brain now, and as I said, going into all this sort of into DNA and all the police procedurals, and even if I had someone at the side of me, I'd be asking the question every 5 seconds. You know what I mean? There'd be more questions being asked than actual writing being done. Yeah, but I don't think I'd make it. I'd probably make it more of a kidnap story than. Although the idea I've got is for a murder. The murder might come at the end when the kidnap fails or something. I don't know. I'm tempted also to write one about my hometown, Ilkeston. It's a fabulous place. It's an old industrial place. A lot of characters here. It's got a lot of history. It goes back way before the Doomsday Book. If I did that, I'd write it in the 1950s. I wrote a suspense noir novella set in 1962 up in Buxton on the hills. If you're driving, don't know if you've ever been up there. And there's a car side swipe that goes over the edge, and then it's the bad choices that the people who live make after that provides the storyline. But again, that's 1962. It's another era I've lived through. And again, it was very basic police investigations back then too. So that's why I do it. I get away with so much of it.
Well, if you go modern, I'll answer your questions on DNA for you.
You don't know what you're letting yourself in for, do you?
Well, you can't ask me weirder questions than I live with every day. I'm a teacher, so you'll be fine. Donna wants to know how far you're going to take Amy and Bodkin time-wise. Are you going to go through the war?
Well, we're on book 3. It started in January 1939. Actually, January the 1st, 1939, the first book started. And I'm still only in July. No, I'm only in June for book 3. I'm in July now for the 4th book that I'm writing called the Medway Murder. Medway Murder. That's factory fortnight. So it's the end of July, first week in August. All the factories used to close for the 2 weeks while we did the annual maintenance and everything. And she's trying to solve, her and Bodkin are trying to solve the murder during that 2-week period. So we're still up to July. The war doesn't start till September. Now Bodkin's in a reserved occupation, being a policeman, so he doesn't have to go to war. Whether he wants to go to war or not is a different matter. I'll leave that in the air for a while. But they weren't all called up straight away anyway. The first year of the war, nothing happened particularly. There was no bombing, hardly any bombing, no nothing. They evacuated everyone from London, all the kids, and then they all went back again the following summer because they thought it wasn't going to happen. And then it started straight afterwards as soon as they got back. The next one, I'm doing a bit of an Agatha fanboy thing. It's set on a train that gets stuck in the snow. That might be familiar, but the murder won't happen on the train. They're all evacuated from the train to a nearby hotel, and the murder will happen in there. But it is sort of, all intents the original part of it. But yeah, they will. See, unspoken runs through the war. I've got to be a little bit careful because Alice is in both books. She's up to 1942, 43 now in the unspoken series, and I've got to be careful how those two series overlap. You can't have things happening in one that don't happen in the other, and they might just interfere with each other, sort of thing. Right? So I've got to be a bit careful. But eventually, you know, it depends how many books I write. I'm on the fourth one now. The next one, well, that one is set in the snow, so that's going to be sort of December-ish of 1939. There probably will be one in between that. So that'll be 6 books, and I don't know whether it will go on from that or not. That's as far as I can think ahead at the moment. But so there is a problem about Bodkin and Ferris maybe joining up, volunteering, called up, whatever it is, and then Amy's left on her own without the police, and the stories won't quite be the same then. So I'm going to think that one out.
You say Orient Express for Trapped in the Snow. I think of Anne Holt. Have you ever read her?
Who?
Anne Holt. She's
I've
a
heard, but I've not read any.
she's a Norwegian author, and she's got a book where there's a murder that happens on the railway between Oslo and Bergen, and it's at the highest place in like Finns railway station, which is really high up, and they think they filmed Hoth for Star Wars.
They're pretty much isolated up there,
like around there, yeah. And it's like they get snowed in up there, and there's a murder. And you were saying that, and I was thinking of that book as you were going. It's very Orient Express.
No, I've not. I've fallen lucky here as well, because I was going to set this around like December 39, early January 1940, and I did check the weather. I do check these things. I like, you know, if someone's a bad one, I like to get that bit right, because there was someone who remembered. And there was a terrible snowstorm that happened, and it lasted about a week. And trains got stuck in the snow. No traffic could move anywhere. It was and that lasted for about a week over the Kent area. So that fall, I've never been so lucky in my life. That falls exactly at the time that I'll be writing about it. So historically, I would have got that right. And the trains were stuck midway on journeys, and Amy and Bodkin are going to be going down to see Bodkin's sister down in Dover, and they'll get stuck about halfway, but it will be on the outskirts of the town, so they can be taken off the train and put into this hotel where the murder takes place. But the suspects will all be falling out on the train and having to go into each other and everything, just to warm things up. So it's a bit Poirot-ish. I mean, Amy's a huge Poirot fan anyway. She uses this technique to solve the murders. So she's always bringing him up in conversation.
Yeah, I went back and googled Miss Marple because that you refer to her in it, and I was like, was Miss Marple out then?
One book.
Yeah.
Yeah, one book in the early 30s. Yeah. I do have to check these things because someone I will get pulled up on it. I know I will if I don't get it wrong.
Well, someone pedantic like me who'll be like, was Miss Marple out then?
I don't think it's pedantic. I think it's up to me to get it right, and it's as simple as that, really. I should you should check all my facts, and if I'm putting them down as facts, then they should really be facts. I really, really wanted to use one of Agatha's books, one of the plot tags book for Amy to use to solve a murder. But when I checked and double checked and triple checked, it was a year too late. It's about 1940. I'm writing about 6 months earlier, so I can't do that. And again, the movies they're going to see every Saturday night, they have to be triple checked as well to see exactly what month they came out in, because the town they live in is in a bit of a backwater, so it's months afterwards when they actually get to see the movie. So I can't have them going to see one that's only been out a month or two, that they might get to see in London, but they would never ever get to see where they live. So.
Donna said she wants you to keep writing and writing, as she's totally in love with the characters, and you know that she'll nag you as well.
Bless her. Thank you, Donna. I'm glad you're enjoying the new one.
You got quite a fan there.
She likes Amy. She loves the character. Yeah, she really does. And I'm so pleased because it's Donna. I mean, she reads everyone, all the big authors she knows, and she likes my books. It's great. I love it.
Donna, a reason to come to our live event because Trevor's going to be there.
I was just in Leeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not seen the actual official announcement yet, so I've not really mentioned it to anyone. Just in case.
Well, the official announcements are coming soon. I'm being sneaky and giving Donna a preview.
Oh, right, okay. It's been nice to see you again, Don, anyway, if I don't get to see you before then. We met at the Stoke-on-Trent event and had a chat then. Lovely
Yeah,
day.
well, Stoke-on-Trent's it's a cracking place to go. I'm a fan of Stoke,
Yeah.
but you can't. I lived there for a long time, so you can't live there for a long time and not sort of like it.
But I don't know, you've not mentioned yet who else is on the panels, but I know that I'm on, I think I can say now, I can't remember how you brought it up, that I'm
Yeah,
on
you can see. I've got off.
the Golden Age panel, so it's interesting to see who else is on there.
Oh, it will, won't it? Just wait. I've got some crackers coming to the live event. I'm quite feeling quite smug about some of my panels.
Oh, lovely. Well, I was on it to be asked. It totally came out of the blue. I wasn't expecting that at all. So I was on it to be asked, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, this is Moira Hodgkinson. So she's just going to download and read this evening one of your books, which is the first Murder in the Mill.
Murder at the Mill was the first one. Definitely Escape, and then I get plugging here.
Go on, do it.
It's by Spellbound Books. It came out on November the 5th. The paperback only came out a few days ago, so this is the first and only copy at the moment. So this is the third one. The fourth one, I'm 30 odd thousand words into, and I'm just taking a bit of a break over the last couple of weeks. I did get a bit of this sad business, this time of year. So hence the light, my sad light. So I do struggle. I've looked back. I didn't realise I suffer from it, and I've sort of been in denial for years and years. And I've gone back looking at when all my work's been written, and since I started writing again in 2020 after that 5 year break, I've written nothing between my wife's birthday, which was when she was here, 31st of October, and 28th of February. And when I look at the word dates and everything, right, I've written right up to that date, and I start again on March the 1st. So, and there's been nothing written in between. So I'm trying to book that trend, hence the sad light. So I'm 30 odd thousand words into Murder on the Medway, and I'm also 25,000 words into what was supposed to be a Christmas novella to go with the Unspoken series. That came to a juddering halt at the end of October.
Have you are all your books out with Spellbound Books?
No, the murder mysteries are, all the Amy Rowling mysteries are. The other ones are self-published. And
Pardon?
They do quite well, so I'm quite pleased with them.
Donna said, have you found your new author friends have helped motivate you to write, or are they more of a distraction?
My new author friends, well, the ones I met in Stoke or
I don't know.
I keep meeting them by the day on Facebook, and then another one. I can't seem to get that motivation this time of year. I'm really, this is what, again, the sad one, I'm trying to force it. I bought a new desk in case that might help me along, sort of thing. A new keyboard, a new everything, and it doesn't work so far. Although it's only been a week since I bought all this new stuff, so I'm still hoping. But other authors, no, I like reading other authors. When I'm writing, I tend not to read. It's like I don't want to be influenced by anyone else or their ideas or anything. I love the odd audio book on the go when I'm writing. But I don't even read at night in bed. So all my ideas come. There's that strange dimension between sleep and wakefulness when you're just sort of dozing off and you're in that zone. that's where, and honestly, that's where all my Amy comes to talk to me and tell me all about stories, what she wants to be doing. And the next morning, I've got these. I don't have to write it down or anything. Next morning, I'm trying to think, oh, that was a really good idea. What was it? But as soon as I get on the keyboard and start typing, she's there, and off we go. And I just let her take me wherever she wants to go then. So that's how I write. I'm definitely a pantser. I can't plot. If I wrote down, if I plotted chapter by chapter, by the time I got to the end of it, I'd never write it because I know, as far as I'm concerned, I've written it. I know what's happened. I know everything. There's no point in going all over it again. So I like to just sit down and let her talk to me and take me wherever she wants to go.
Fair enough. While we're talking about what you like to read, what have you read this year that you've really enjoyed?
I'm reading Hanging Hill at the moment. Mohede, I love Mohede. Well, I did. She's such a shame. Read a few Peter Robinson. I read a Joy Wood. She's an independent author. It's a very good book. One of hers I've read. Trying to think now. They're mainly crime based. Horowitz, a few of his. I think he's an excellent writer. I think the one that sticks with me is Birdsong. I've had it on my Kindle since about 2014 and never got around to reading it. And I read it a few months ago, and I'm going to go and read it again because it's just Sebastian Fault. It's so beautiful, such a beautifully written book. And it's the subject matter, World War One, in the digging underneath the trenches to try and blow up the enemy lines from underneath. They've got all these ex-miners digging away, every roof's falling around them and everything. It's such a so the subject matter, but it's his prose. It's just the way he writes is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So that one sticks to mind. And I've reread The Book Thief, which is one of my all-time favourite books, along with Angela Dash's. It's not that many I read more than once, but those two I do.
Yeah, The Book Thief is a really good book.
Oh, I loved it, absolutely loved it. The characters just got to me straight away from page one. Death the narrator and Liesel and who. But again, though, it's 1930s. The family lives in poverty. This is just the same as the stuff I normally used to go back to. It's in my zone. It's in my, that's where I like to be. Although it's set in Germany, that one, not over here, but it's pretty much exactly the same circumstances.
Do you just predominantly tend to read crime? You're sort of saying you like things like Peter Robinson as well.
Oh yeah, I love Peter Robinson. I did again, lost him as well. I do. I'm finding more crime writers all the time. I'm getting a bit tired of Scottish crime. I know people hate me for that. I've read so much of it over the last 2 years. But everything seems to be Scottish crime now. It's just everywhere. I've even catch up with Shetland on the TV. I've never watched it. I'm catching up with that. So everything's Scotland. There's some fantastic authors. There really, really is. And I love them. But Scotland is out at the moment. I think probably read about 20 books based there out of about the last 30, 35. So we're trying to go somewhere else now.
Try some Welsh crime. I have really enjoyed some Welsh crime this year.
Yeah, I've seen one or two in the group that I'm tempted to go and have a look at. And then we've got Tony Ford. I've got one of his audio books going at the moment. His first Bliss book. In fact, I just finished it this afternoon. That's set Peterborough way and over towards Unstanton. Ross Gardner's new one is in Unstanton. So just I can sort of move around. Peter Robinson was all in Yorkshire, and again I was reading those one after the other, so I've got Yorkshire out. So I do like to sort of move around the country a little bit.
You can't be Yorkshired out, God's own county.
See what gets me about Yorkshire? I'm going to upset people here again now. Every Yorkshire Day, Facebook is full of Yorkshire Day, Yorkshire, God's country, God's this, that, and the other. The finest place on earth, and blah, blah. And every post is written by someone who doesn't live there anymore. It was Yorkshire's that fabulous. Everyone moved away.
Not if you're on my Facebook. All the Yorkshire posts there are by people who live here.
Yeah, I've been to Rotherham, I've been to Doncaster, I've been to parts of Leeds. Sorry, I didn't mean to mention you.
That's all right.
I've been all over the place. I'm only taking them. Beautiful. It's a beautiful town. It really is. But
I know.
it does puzzle me a little bit how no one who lives there ever comes out with it's Yorkshire Day. It's always somebody who's moved away, who couldn't wait to leave.
Well, you're friends with me now, so you'll see when I post it.
And you still live there, so that's great.
Not from Yorkshire, but I do live here. Yeah. So
I'd love to be able to afford to live there in some of the nicer parts. But I can't.
pardon?
I'd love to afford to live in. It'd have to be one of the nicer parts, mind you. But I would love to live there. I really would. I'd love to live in York. It's one of the places. I go there whenever I can. I've not been for a few years now. But you can't beat walking down Shambles. It's just such the atmosphere and everything's lovely place.
Yeah, it's a special place, York.
It is, yeah.
It's really nice. So Peter Robinson's books. When I've managed to interview him, it was lovely. His books were set in a made up place.
Yeah.
Weren't they? Like he fictionalized his town. Is yours a real town that you based it on, or are you gone fictional as well?
Fictional. If you look at the map, you won't see anything where it is. It's north of Gillingham, about 10 miles north of Gillingham. That's where it's set. The places around it, as I mentioned, where the boat clubs are, and other features that are on the Medway itself, they actually exist. I give them different names. And in Unspoken, Alice and her partner wanted to go to Garda Shepherd. The places I used on there are all genuine. But the town, the Unspoken series and the murder mystery, are all set in a town called Spinton, which is totally fictional. But if you took the name away and put Ilkeston in there, which is where I live, you'd have exactly the same town. It has an ironworks, it has mine workings around it, it's got all the things that my town's got. So it's basically Ilkeston moved down to Kent.
I think it's interesting as well how the sort of industries of towns like Ilkeston, Yorkshire's got a load of them that have got like an industry that's kind of died out.
Mm.
If you know what I mean, like the mines, or think about like Hull with all the fishing industry and stuff. There's like big industry that's gone, but it kind of leaves a sort of thing that you can find a lot of stories in.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons I want to write that book about my hometown. Like, it would be set in the 50s when I was born and growing up. The characters are all there. People from my town think I'm writing about them or their parents or grandparents or whoever in the murder mystery and what have you. And I'm not. I promise everyone, every single character came from in here. None of them are based on real people. They're all total invention. But it's just the attitudes and things like that I use from the people I grew up with. I use that to like I say, transport down to Kent. And Kent was interesting then anyway, because at the start of the war, that's where all the bombers came from. It all came over that coast, all flew over Kent. So for the Unspoken series, that just happened. So you can bring that into it in the fear of the population and what have you. We've not reached that far yet with the Amy Rowling book. But yeah. So I mean, the industrial past, it's very interesting. It really is how it all, they used to dominate the town and ironworks. I mean, there's 18,000 people out of the population of 13,000 worked at Stunk Ironworks, right next to where I grew up. So you can take things like that, and as I say, you can work with it, and it gives you a nice background when you're describing the town.
It does, and it gives like towns a bit of uniqueness as well, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Because not everyone had an ironworks, and not everyone had pits around the surrounding area. The house I live in now, on a hill like that, and the house I'm in was built in 1904. and it was built for the miners because there was a pit literally 100 yards away down the hill. And Ilkeston then, the site was just private pit, but they're all very, very small ones, employing maybe 20, 50 men, something like that. But there was lots of them, tens of them dotted about the place. So it's things like that. You can utilise all that stuff. And I remember all the Stanton Ironworks workers coming out with the pay packets on a Saturday morning. It used to be, I think it was, and straight in the pub. The Stanton Hotel was half up our street, and there was a line of men not even been home for a wash, going in there waiting to open the wage packets before the wife got hold of it.
Fair enough. Donna's saying she'd like to live in Yorkshire too.
Don't blame me, Donna. Better than Luton, eh? Oh, sorry, you're Dunstable. Apologies.
Yeah, she's down south. She definitely needs to come up this way.
Yeah. She needs to get away from Greg, you know that.
I think this might be Donna as well, just saying they've nothing like that at all. The closest they have is Vauxhall car production.
So I think that wasn't there back in the, I'm not sure, I don't think it was, back in the 1930s. I think a lot of the car plants were sort of Austin and Morris, which were on the Birmingham way. There was some over at Liverpool, but so that's the other thing that fascinates me. You know, it's like starting a car up in 1939. You had a car key, but it wasn't a matter of sticking the key in and turning the engine on, anything like that. So right fast. You put the key in, you turned it, and then you had to wait for a meter. So the coil or whatever it was warmed up enough, and then you pulled the choke to let some petrol through. And once that reached a certain level, then you used to reach down in between down towards the gear hook on the handbrake and press a button, and electrically then that would utilise the battery and start the engine. So it was a right fast. And if that didn't work, like in winter, then you got the crank handle. Every car had a crank handle that you had to use to arm breakers or leg breakers. So you know, and they're the things that frustrate me, you know, and they're the things you have to get right in the books, because there's always going to be someone to tell you wrong.
Moira said, do you think living in an area surrounded by history has influenced your writing?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Especially that area I grew up in, because it's just sort of welded into your memory bank, you know. I can close my eyes and see those guys coming out of Stanton after the shifts ended and what have you, you know. And I knew some pit guys as well. There's some pitmen on our street as well. And they used to come home covered in salt, covered in it. And they'd just go in, wash their faces, wash their hands and what have you, have the dinner and what have you. And then the rest of them would still be the same colour when they went back down the pit the next morning. They used to get a bath on a Friday night or whatever before they went down the pub. So all those things are, and the history of Stanton, the ironworks, and we had a coke ovens. Our street ran down the middle. Built in 1840s, 1850s, Compton Street it was called. And you had the ironworks there, and you had a huge coke ovens on this side that they put coal in, produced the coke to feed the ironworks. So all you had was chemicals and smoke and fumes coming over all the time. And you sort of lived on, there was a permanent fog around the street. And that's what you grew up in. So things like that, they stay with you. And that's what I see when I'm writing about Spinton, which is the town I've created in North Kent. Kent did have, still up till 1980s, till Maggie got hold of it, had coalfields there all over Kent. And they did have an ironworks industry. And they used to ferry the iron, especially even in the war, it revived. The narrowboats used to go up and down the canals, carrying pig iron and stuff like that. It had all died out by the time the Second World War came around. It revived again, and there was a lot of that going off between the ironworks in sort of North Kent and the factories down further south.
I think Derby's where you think of kind of most for the ironworks, isn't it? Because it's like Abraham Derby country.
Well, Abraham Derby.
Can you do the iron bridge?
Yeah, over in Shropshire.
Pardon?
Over in Shropshire, the Iron Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I've been there. I don't know the history of Shropshire anywhere near as well as I do sort of my own hometown, which was a Saxon village originally. It goes back a long, long way. And then there was even smelting then. There was working with metals then. So it's always been a part of this area.
Which is like we were saying, is what makes like those kind of stories interesting, isn't it? It's like when you read Mel Sharratt, who writes in like Stoke-on-Trent, she kind of brings that sort of feeling of the potteries to life.
Yeah. Well, I hope I'm doing that. I hope it's coming across that people get a feel for the town. And parts of it are very, very wealthy, very, very well to do, and yet you've got the other side of it, where there's the abject poverty and the people working for less than £2 a week for like a 50-hour week.
Sorry.
No, it's all right.
You've also been asked if you think landscape and the environment can shape or influence the story.
Sorry, you broke up a little bit in the middle.
You've been asked if you think landscape or the environment can shape or influence the story.
Yeah. It does, really, because I put this particular town right pretty much on the Medway. There's an old mill, which is where the Murdoch is, but it used to have a water wheel and I'll be fed by something called the Silver Stream, which runs into the Medway, which is all part of book 4, which I'm writing at the moment. That all comes into that. But one half the town's a big smoky mess. People would just refuse to live there these days. You just wouldn't be allowed to live there these days. Don't know what the villagers make of it. But surrounding, it's a beautiful countryside, farmland and what have you, all the way to the coast. And so you've got that mix of different environments, the smoky, dirty town, and just you haven't got to walk far outside it before you're in the countryside, like with clean air.
You've got I'm sorry, you've got so many comments coming up. Someone's got your book on the Kindle now.
Oh, very kind, thank you. Hope you enjoy it.
I mean, that's what you want when we're doing these chats, isn't it? People to be loading your books up as we're talking.
I will say, if anyone wants to know where it all started, I'll go back to this book again. It's not crime, but that's where all the characters come from, that one, and they feed into these. So it's the same town. Quite a few of them are the same characters. So people, once you've read the first one, or if you read the murder mysteries first and then go to your Unspoken series, you know a lot of the characters straight away, so you feel at home with them. My favourite comments from readers come when I've got quite a few of them as well, where so it feels like you sat round the big oak table in Alice's kitchen, just listening into the conversation. And there's nothing. The only line I've had better than that in the whole of my writing career was for when I was writing the Tracy's Hotmail books. There's 4 of them, and one reader wrote "Trevor writes like a girl," and I was just sat there, I was floating on air for the rest of the day because I thought I've got it right then. So, and like I say, female characters fascinate me; they really do. I really have to think hard about how they'd react to a certain comment or a certain situation, or being touched up even, because that's what used to happen back then a lot. So it really makes your brain work. I found I've only ever written 2 books with a male character, and I've written 30 books if you include the kids' books. And only 2 have had a male character, and I found those. They just, I don't know. I wasn't as happy writing those as I've been writing all the other ones. And even back to the kids' books, I had a series called Magic Molly, 8 books about a trainee witch who's got a wonky wand that she can't aim properly. Love writing those as well because, again, sort of think outside the male box.
I'm intrigued because we were sort of touching on your love of music before we went live. Whether that creeps into your books as well.
So I'm into. I grew up with rock and roll through the late 50s. I was only a very small child then, but through the late 50s, the Beatles and the 60s, the Stones and stuff. Uh, and then I've got quite eclectic in my taste after that. And I love opera now. Maria Callas, she's on the wall behind me over there, under, just above the notes. I love her to bits. I can listen to her all day long, and I do. When I'm writing, I put her on in the background. And I like all classical music. I can't write to Led Zeppelin and stuff like that, but I will. But getting back to the books, I do research the music as well. That Amy is a collector of American music, old 78 records, because her uncle's an importer, so she sort of buys them off him. So again, just like the Agatha books that get a mention and the films that get a mention, I have to do quite a bit of research on when those songs came out, because a lot of them were sung by so many different people. They can be sung by I mean, Louis Armstrong, people think of him in the 1960s. He was there in the 1930s as well, Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, but they were only very young at the time. So, yeah, and you had Count Basie, you had the Ink Spots had hits in the 1950s, but they also had hits in the mid 30s. So, do your research on those. And the songs I mentioned are always pretty well known songs, but they're always from, I always get the era, towards the end of the 1930s and choose them from there. And I do quite enjoy. I listen to them just to get the feel before I write about them.
Would you make a playlist for the books then? If anyone wanted to go back and discover those songs, would you make like a playlist so people?
Yeah,
do them.
I'd be quite happy to do that. Stick at the end of an ebook or something. Yeah, I've thought about. I had a great story in my head about, and I still may write it. It's a woman who just had a seizure in the kitchen, and she's lying on the floor, can't move. And the only thing, her eyes are fine, her hearing's fine, but she can't actually move, just her shoulders, that's it. So all day until her family get home at night time, she's lying stuck on the floor, and all she's got on is the greatest hits radio, which keeps playing tunes from different years. And those, she keeps dozing off while one of these songs are on, and that takes her mind back to the Goose Fair in Nottingham in 1959. This is set in the early 80s. In 1959, where and her best friend are down at the fair, and those songs are being played. They go to the palais dancing afterwards, and certain songs are played there. And then we move it through as the songs are being played, her life moves through 1961, 62, through her life progresses, sort of thing. So, and what I wanted to do was, because you're not allowed to use song lyrics, you really, really can't. It's the biggest no-no. They'll have you. It costs you thousands of pounds to try and just use 2 lines of a song. So what I intended doing, and I still don't know if it's legal or not, and it's the only reason I've not finished writing the book, was to put a link on each chapter what people could click and go to YouTube for the music to be played, because it is legal to be played on YouTube. But I don't know whether it's legal to actually do what I was planning to do with it. So it's either that or, again, have a glossary at the back and a list of all the songs that are mentioned with links to it. So I still might do that. The story's too good to waste. And it's been in my head for probably about 5-6 years
now. Someone here has said that they'd like a playlist.
Oh, a playlist of what, the 1930s songs?
Yeah.
I could do that. I don't know where I'd post it up for. Maybe if it's allowed to be posted in the group, I could do that. But otherwise, I'd put it on my Facebook page, and you could find it there. Yeah. I'd happily do that.
Have a think. And they're also saying it's probably best to find out about the music. We have a minute left.
Oh dear, that's soon.
Yeah. Show people if they haven't already gone and bought, because Moira, who's watching, has already gone and bought some books. But just in case anyone else is watching is going to go and buy, show us what we're gonna go off and download.
Right. But if you want to laugh, there are 4 Tracy's Hotmail books about a young girl in her first job. She's desperate to become a D-list celebrity. Her ambition is don't go much higher than that. She's into sort of dodgy clothes from the market, labels and things like that. They are funny, even I laugh. So I've got to admit they're funny. The Unspoken series, there are 5 books in that series. One of them is a Christmas novel called Hopes and Fears. This is dual timeline. Alice, one of the characters from the Murder at the Mill book. It's about her great-great-granddaughter now. When the book starts, Alice is still alive. She's 99. And she's got a big secret she wants to get off her chest to her great-granddaughter. So half the book is set in the 1930s, and the other half is set in present day, as we keep going back into Alice's diaries to find out more about her. And that runs through all the other 4 books in the series as well. So that is that one. Now, the murder mysteries, they're in this order. Murder at the Mill. That's the first one, where Amy's the boss of the factory where Amy works. His son is killed actually on the premises, and Amy has to help. That's where she first meets Bodkin. That's the second one, where the local vicar is poisoned, and there's a cryptic note chalked on the underneath the seat on the lich gate that doesn't paint him in a very favourable light. Let's put it that way. But in the end, they find out. Well, I won't go too much detail on that one, but the poison is more complicated than it normally is. And this is the new one, Murder Awards, and that's been out 3 weeks now. And it's done. I've been so pleased with it. It's done really, really well. So, and for me, it got pretty high. It got up to below 1,400 in the old Amazon chart, which for me is very, very good. I've never had one quite that high before. So it's still around there now. It's still pretty good. So. And that one's about a local businessman. Amy and Bodkin attend an awards ceremony at the town hall to appoint the businessman of the year. And just after he gets his award, he goes to take a telephone call, and then they find him dead in the passageway just outside the hall. So, and they take up that's where the mystery begins. So that's the latest one.
Brilliant. I think this is Moira. She says, "Thank you so much, Trevor." She's now has the first Amy and the first Unspoken. Really good to hear you talking about the books and your work.
Oh, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
It's an excellent place to finish, isn't it? So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you for having me on. And thanks everyone for turning up. And Donna, I'll catch you soon.
Yeah, Donna.